If we go down this little passageway next to the optician, we'll come to the Alms houses. It's called the Retreat, and it was built in 1892. Just 3 of them, I think. Lovely little cottages.
Hello.
One thing we see a lot of in Stony Stratford are these archways leading through to where stabling would have been for the coach horses. And here is, this used to be called the Rose and Crown. It's got a plaque on it because the story is that in 1483 Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, came here and kidnapped his nephew, and that was Edward V. He was uncrowned and on his way to Westminster Abbey to be crowned, and Richard of Gloucester, who later became Richard III, picked him up, took him to London, and he was later murdered in the Tower of London. Whether it was at his hand or his orders, we never shall know. Some interesting old buildings, timber framed there, and looking Georgian. But this one here, the George Hotel, is probably the oldest pub in the town. 1609 is the first mention of it. And you could, if the door was open, you could see that to get into it, you're actually stepping down because the level of the road has increased so much over the years. It tells us here on this plaque. Former coaching inn, and the stables will have been through there. Just a short detour down New Street, opposite the George Hotel, to look at these lovely little cottages. And at the end here, there's this huge chapel. I'm not sure if it's Methodist or Baptist, but it's of that mid-19th century type. And this is unusual, this one at the end. We're now onto Vicarage Road. Just turn round and have a look at the here's the side and the back of the chapel. There's no labelling on it, no signs or anything to tell us what it is, and it looks a little bit run down, to be honest. Now from Vicarage Lane you access all these car parks which are behind the premises on Watling Street. So this, for instance, is the Bull Hotel, which still got this huge archway for the mail coaches, and these Mews cottages, stabling and accommodation for the grooms. And then this is the rear of the Cock car park with the archway there. Stables here. Some stabling and Mews accommodation there. It's said at the busiest time, mid-19th century, there could be 30 mail coaches a day come through here, all requiring facilities for the horses and food and drink. We're at the front now of the Cock. Some very impressive doors there. And moving down the High Street towards the bridge, we'll see if we can spot any other places that used to be inns and pubs. Maybe that could have been a pub there with the bow window, because it's got the wrought iron out the front for a swinging sign, and next to it we've got the Conservative Club, and we're just walking down here now. We've got the Fox and Hounds there, still functioning as a pub, and a bit lower down the Cross Keys, and this one on this side of the road that seems to be a restaurant now. Altambarista, which must have been a coaching inn at some time because it's got the archway there for horses to go through. This is the old Cross Keys, now a hairdresser's. Used to be known as St Peter's Keys. It was a hostel for travelling priests and a guild hall. The oldest pub in Stony Stratford, so not the George, as I said before. This one dates from 1485. And if we have a look across the road again, we'll see that Altambarista looks like a huge pub, inn, coaching inn. Can't find anything else about it though. And we're just going down that little passageway there to that old church tower. This is what's left of the Church of Mary Magdalene. There was a fire in the town in 1742. The church itself was ruined and never rebuilt. So there's just this tower left. We can see from the plaque, information board, how it would have been, and now there's just this and a few old gravestones. It's very peaceful. There's tiny little doors being put in, but you can see the surround of the bigger ones. Not sure what this sort of wooden and slate shelter is there for, but we can see again the outline of the previous door, and one of the gravestones in here, I've not found it yet, but it says, "Here lies a body who did no good, and if it had lived, it never would. Where it is gone, and how it fares, nobody knows, and nobody cares." So I don't think they were very well loved, were they? There's a big old building there that looks like it's lost the battle. It's quite derelict now, and we'll have a look at it from the front. Such a shame when an old building goes to ruin. And then we're going over there to have a look at this cottage called Ratcatcher's Cottage. This is that derelict building from the front now, from the high street. That looks like a very old wall there. Yeah, it's gone beyond repair now, hasn't it? Quite an imposing property on the high street. Rothenberg House. Built in 1892, designed and lived in by Swiffen Harris, that architect that built the school and some other things in the town. When we look at the front door, it's wonderful, isn't it? And it's got an inscription there, Nisi Dominus, which apparently is the first verse of Psalm 127. Ratcatcher's Cottage, and there's the tower of the church. And here it is. It's very nicely kept, isn't it? It was part of the Stony Stratford Manor House estate, which was owned by the Mallet family. But then in the 20th century, it was so-called Ratcatcher's Cottage because the local village ratcatcher lived here. This is an interesting building, very big and very well maintained. It was originally St Paul's Franciscan School. Parts of it now have been made into apartments. That turret looks very interesting over there. And this main bit here, which was the chapel, is now an Indian restaurant, Calcutta Brasserie, which I can highly recommend. So it was built in 1863 at a huge cost of £40,000. To build it, 30 slum dwellings had to be removed and the old Horseshoe Inn was demolished. It became Fegan's Boys' Home, a home for orphan boys, most of whom were from London, and the chap called Fegan bought it, and it operated as a boys' home from 1900 to 1961, and they reckon over 4,000 boys were given a good home. Between then, it was a cigar factory. So it's been a school, a cigar factory, a boys' home, a Franciscan school, and now the Indian restaurant. And here's the van to prove it. All of these buildings either side of it are private homes. And then this over here says Hobbs Electrical, so some must be rented out to small businesses. It really is beautiful, and inside the restaurant there's all murals painted on the wall of the chapel. Here's the information board outside that tells us a little bit more. There used to be a huge swimming pool, open air swimming pool at the back, but that was filled in to make the retirement homes. So we're carrying on down here towards the bridge over the river. I would say that definitely used to be a pub. I know there was a famous one called the Barley Mow somewhere on the high street. Whether that was it. And down here is the alleged site. There is a plaque to tell us that the Eleanor Cross was erected there. But expert opinion says that it was probably behind this row of houses now. There is a natural mound there that could have been where they put the cross up. And essentially, Edward I was married to Queen Eleanor. They had 15 children, but it was a real love match. And when she died, her coffin was brought, her body was brought from Leicester to Westminster Abbey for burial. And everywhere that they stayed overnight and that the coffin was put down, there was a cross erected. There's only 3 of them left now, and one of them was said to be here. There is a plaque on that white building there. And in the Civil War, it was destroyed. And that was in the year 1290. So it's no wonder it was destroyed, is it? Just down there is the bridge over the River Great Ouse and some lovely walks over the fields. It's a bit too muddy at the moment, but the bridge, the river was forded first by the Romans, and then as this was Watling Street and came from London to Anglesey, it was a busy in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, a busy stopover point with coaches coming all day and every day. Very busy town. We've retraced our steps now back up the High Street, and there's the Bull Hotel, and if we have a closer look, it tells us on this door that there's the Cock a few steps that way, the Bull here, and this is allegedly where the Cock and Bull story came from. People used to stay at the Cock, stay at the Bull, they'd get talking afterwards, especially the people that looked after the horses and the coach drivers. Somebody would tell a tale, somebody would repeat it, and that's where the Cock and Bull story came from. So we're going to go and have a look at the church in a moment. You can see it's quite a big church, and just a few of these shops up here. These shops here, Odell & Co, have been here for years. Well, it says there, established 1740. This building used to be the post office. And just up here is the White Horse pub, coaching inn. There's still a lot of pubs left in Stony, but there was even more when the coach and horses came through. And down this, you can see there's the archway where the horses used to go. There's a lovely little mews. Now all the stables are converted into mews cottages. This house here across the road is quite unusual. It looks Georgian on a small scale, and it's known as the Shell House because of this ornate canopy. Vicarage restaurant. Looks like it could have been a pub with that hanging sign, although maybe I'm getting a bit obsessed with what used to be a pub. There's scope for a book there. Very quiet today. The church is St Mary and St Giles. It was rebuilt in 1736. That sounds like after one of the many fires. Fires easily took hold in those days because the buildings were all wood and thatch, elements of straw in there, so. And the tower, which we'll have a look at, we're here. There's the tower. We'll have a look at from a distance. That's actually original. That is 13th century. There's the tower again, the original bit. You can actually see, when you look closely, the difference in brick to the new part. And then we're back at the beginning. We're just coming through now to Market Square again. So hope you enjoyed the little ramble round. And if you do, give me a like or subscribe It's all free, and I hope to see you on my next ramble. Thank you.